Welcome to our talk, Digital English in Scribaepub. The project has involved students living in two different cities and schools, Gela and Lentini. What they have done together is this shared ebook, Hellenic, Gela and Leontini on Life. Gela and Leontini meet in the Hellenic period from the political, commercial and cultural point of view. And on these cultural cross-destinies, we have developed the project. The keywords of our research are metaverse, service learning, shared writing, total physical response problem, and project-based learning. So, of course, TPR stands for Total Physical Response and PBL for both project-based and problem-based. And this is because the educational project is mainly for students in their 3 last years at school, students in their 3rd class of humanities and students in computer science. Well, let's introduce our framework. Gela and Leontini had several encounters in ancient Greece. Gela conquered Leontini and subjugated it, but when the Carthaginians destroyed Gela, many inhabitants found refuge and were welcomed in Leontini. This historical and cultural exchange during the Greek period served as a pretext for the development of own life paths. The students visit the archaeological park and museum, and they started appreciating their cultural heritage, working on site, online, but mainly on life. So, just to understand, here we have divided all the activities they have done. Activity number 1. At Leontini, students are divided into 2 groups. The first group goes up the Metapiccola hill to take and post pics of Xutia in a Padlet. So, Bayard, bringing your own device, is connected with some activity on site. This can be a basic experience for own life, because at the same time, the students in the archaeological park at Leontini shared the Padlet with the students in Gela, who were not visiting the archaeological park, of course. The second group is with a guide that explains the remains of the defensive wall, the watchtower, the necropolis at the south entrance of Leontini. So, of course, this is a traditional on-site activity. And inside the largest huts on Metapiccola Hill, which probably belonged to the king Sutos, that according to the legend was the founder of this protohistoric village in which 7 huts came to light, the students in these largest huts mime, film and post in the shared Padlet some scene from daily life. And again, of course, this is an online experience. But who are our target students? Our target students are adult students, a 3rd class of humanities and a 3rd class humanities in Lentini and a 3rd class of students, computer science students. So, the proposal is, of course, problem-based learning, but it can be adapted for younger students. Let's see together what is the difference between project and problem-based learning in this Venn diagram. As you can see, they share different aspects, and in the bottom line we can read that in problem-based learning, students have more control over their own learning and the processes involved. Let's walk together. Problem-based learning and project-based learning. Both are student-centered and have the teacher as a guide. And that's true. Only group work activities are included in problem-based learning. Are we sure about that? Or there are also individual activities? Suppose we should answer that that's true or false, just to see how the system works, all right? And then, in project-based learning, students define the subject of study as a form of problem solving. Is this for project or for problem-based learning? That should be for problem, so it could be false. Both methodologies share connections with the real world and activity. Yes, probably yes. And problem-based learning, students define the problem and identify the actions to be taken. That's true for problem-based learning, where the guide of the teacher is less, as we've seen in the bottom line, less important. Both involve the experience of self-assessment and peer assessment. That's true. Let's check our answer. And we see that if we apply this methodology, we have to go back here. Only group work activities are included in problem-based learning, and that's true, because once you have the groups, as I will show you in this experience, when you have given the students, they can even suggest different instruments to carry on an activity which is problem-based. If the activity is project-based, you are more descriptive in what they have to do. And individual activities are not. So the group as the command and individual activities could be planned only in case of project-based learning, and not with problem-based, which is absolutely free. So what are the competencies? What the students did, of course, metalinguistic, digital, and personal, social, and learning to learn, and above all, cultural awareness and expressions. And let's have a look at the learning environments also, because they were different, as we have seen from the connections with the activity on-site, on-life, and online. The activities were divided in 4 phases and alternate between activities involving visit in a territory, and the content was shared in Scribaepub. Well, so from Padlet to Spatial with Character Artificial Intelligence. What do the students have to do once they have collected the material? They also have done this own life experience in a project which is mainly outdoor education. What do they do when they come back to the classroom? Here is an example of Lorenzo, the Padlet created and shared by Lorenzo, who put some photographs of the Meta Piccola hill, some tombs and some remains that should be then connected. But as we can see, this is something that they do once they go to the museum in the second phase. For this very first stage, when they go back to the classroom, they are invited to recreate an area of the archaeological site by posting on spatial, after of course creating an avatar, by posting pictures and videos and they try to recreate the environment, for example a small fire, and they can do this together with the students in Gela. This is the archaeological park of Leontinoi, but what they do in small groups, they share with the other students and decide what to put in the Padlet. In the meantime, two Mr. and Mrs. Scribe have been created to build important people from Leontinoi and Gela, and to have this character talk using character artificial intelligence. Here with Istituto, the students give information to Mr. and Mrs. Scribe, and from now on they try to create their very important people of their town, and with artificial intelligence art generator they start giving, of course, the prompts in English, prompts and description. This is a picture created by a small group of students, and they said that this is Gorgias on one side, and Aeschylus on the other side, and they are talking about the Ethnee. The Ethnee, written by Aeschylus, were set in 5 different places to praise Hieron the tyrant, and the first place was Gela, the second one Catane, and then so under the volcano Etna, and then Leontinoi, Xutia, and Siracusa, where Hierone was king after conquering all the area. These Ethnei have been lost, and with the eye character just here, Gorgias says that it is very sad that such a tragedy has been lost. I hope that someday a very complete version might be recovered. And they continue talking, as just because only some fragments have survived, there is lots of space for creative writing in this new setting. This is the end of part 1, and in the second part the students go to visit the archaeological museum and work on that. And now the tales of the 2 cities, Lentini and Gela, continues with the visit at the archaeological museum. And the students gather together as if they were in a symposium, a private home in a room called Andron at the time, where guests reclined in couches and drank wine mixed with water. This object, which is at the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford, shows just how the symposium could have been at the time. It's an animation. And the people there had conversation, ranged from debates on politics and philosophy. They also liked, of course, gossip, which became increasing light as the night wore on. Anyway, The students at this point have got this textbook in the shape of an e-book as to support, to scaffold this visit at the museum. And they also start searching the web for all the artifacts and remains that are shown at the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford and the British Museum in London. Here, for example, they have an activity with the runners at the Olympics. They consider this black figure. And before going to the museum, they have with them this archaeological field journal. So when they draw, or as they were asked before when they worked on site of the archaeological area, they were asked to take photographs of the places. They can take a photograph or draw an object and then analyze the description, color, shape, patterns, texture, the materials. They should answer to the question, what do you think it was used for? Who do you think made it? Which is the most important thing to prepare the pottery lab in a moment later, which is included in this activity. How old do you think it is and why? What questions would you ask to find out more about this object? And they also are invited to ask for information to the guides when they will be in small groups and will be asked to fill in this journal. There are also activities, total physical response activities, which are especially devised for teaching at the museum. And they are taken because they are taken into great consideration because the body shouldn't be disconnected from the head, but the experience should be something like full immersion before it can be conveyed using the digital part. So they have lots and lots of activities here, from slowing down to guess what, to mime time, get the picture, freeze frame, all connected with what they see, riddle in the middle. So these are chosen by the students with the material they produce: history, mysteries, the balloon debate, speaking as an object, which is part of creative writing, and connected tales, because they have to pick up 3 objects or more, and so they come up with a story that links them together. So the information they get, the historical information they get, can be transformed in connected tales. Make me an object, so they are completely involved. Together with the art teachers, also some activities have been prepared, considering the common shapes and the comparative sides, the introduction to periods and styles, for the collocation of what they are seeing at the museum, and so they are guided to distinguish the geometric style from the ontarizing style, and also from the archaic style, which is peculiar for the museum in Lentini and also in Gela, the archaic style. And they are gradually helped to analyze the black figure and usually with mythology as a theme, the red figure, and to analyze also the black and figure narrative, so that they can try to create a story. And then they choose from the museum what they want to go on digital. And going on digital, they have to consider how this pottery were made, who made them, or again, men, women at the time, and imagine to connect this pottery making with the spots they had already visited. So now if we go back with all these pages of the book, which are completed with assignments for each part, then they could easily consider that in the Archaeological Museum of Leontini there are lots of masks and theatrical scenes in the and these ones are just reproductions of masks, and they have to distinguish if the set is a comic mask, a tragic mask, a mask of a new theatre, or a mask of a slave, which is of course the correct one. These reproductions are also used for a puzzle. So they could also use these short reproductions to make a puzzle. So what they need is just to spot the single things. But these masks, before going digital, were produced as just models, 3D models. Then they can go digital as a puzzle, and manuality, art and craft, is essential in this context, because as the philosopher Han advises us, we should pay attention before going digital to respect education, which is complete. It's a complete education. Otherwise, the risk is very heavy, and we could educate people without hands and feet. And now we go to the other part, which imply a sort of performance with the Oedipus king. And what the students have to do here is to act.
Has been attached to my body. Is it really my original head? Who knows? Both my body and head were found in Lentini.
And in the end, as you have seen, with the help of artificial intelligence, students have made the curious speak about the most controversial archaeological situation, if the head and body of the Kurus are the right one and they are really interconnected. In the pottery lab, the students have worked with Sketchfab and have also analyzed these pictures of the Kurus. Here, it's a 3D picture, and to put it in connection with the work they have done. Well, now culture, architecture, daily life of the Hellenic era by visiting place have been greatly explored. The final activity is designed to look at the bigger picture and consolidate all the previous experiences. And to do this, students create stories supported by collected multimedia material focusing on specific aspects of the history of the two Hellenic cities of Leontini and Gela, and they work in mixed group to write, and the teacher provides a scaffolding taken from digital storytelling. So at this point, if we want to organize evaluation and assessment, we could say that in the last part, the most part of the evaluation, we have to focus on the quality of the text. Thank you very much for your attention. Here you have a basic bibliography and webography, of course, the total physical response approach to second language teaching by Asher. For the environment, this great document taken from European Schoolnet, and of course, learning groups by Jacques and Salmon. And last but not least, empathy and inclusive teaching in Scribaepub, especially chapter 14 and empathy included, edited by Ericsson Publisher. Thank you very much for your attention.